Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today we're going to work on an interesting one. This is an Ambassador Tournament TC 305535A, if you can roll that one off your tongue easily enough. And this one comes in from Steven, and it's an interesting reel. I've had a run now on some very interesting low-profile baitcasters. I don't normally see them very much, but, well, we've seen them this week for sure. We've done a Browning. I've done a Shimano, and now we have an Ambassador. And you can always tell the Ambassador reels, even from afar, these little dimpled handle knobs seem to give them away. This one was made in Sweden. It does have some kind of a magnetic braking system on it. It has a thumb bar release. This one spins nicely. And it also has a little flipper switch here. This is an unusual one to find a flipper switch right on your thumb bar, but if you slide that over, you hold it, and when you want to re-engage the spool, you just drop it off without turning the handle, and that's how that one works. This one's metal casing for some of it. Got some plastics on there as well, and I haven't been inside this reel, so this ought to be an interesting one to learn by, and also provide Stephen with that service. He kind of sent me 2 reels. Said he hasn't seen me do these on my channel. If I'd like to, he'll send them over, and I of course welcome the challenge. So we're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces and parts. As I do that, I want to ask you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed, and if you have subscribed, thank you for help making this channel viable and vital. So it really does go a long way in terms of helping me to maintain the channel and all of the things that we discuss on it. We work on reel repair. We work on some storylines regarding the manufacturers themselves, the types of reels, a little bit about what's going on in the fishing industry currently, and fishing tackle industry. And we have a good forum here for folks that need to answer some questions, ask questions, get their answers, and so on. So subscribing will certainly help you do that, and if you do subscribe, please use the notification button. That way you'll see when I post the videos, and you'll be able to watch them. Well, we're taking off the exterior pieces and parts. They all go into a parts tray. I use the bottom of a fast food container for that. And we've pretty much moved to the part where we want to take this side case off. This looks like some kind of polished aluminum or stainless steel. I'm not quite sure which. This ought to be interesting. It looks like there is a seam on the case here. We're going to find out. And 2 screws above and 1 screw below that I can see. I guess we'll find out a little bit more soon. So there's a screw here on this plastic piece. I believe that's going to be part of the case. When you're doing a reel, particularly if you don't know the reel like I don't on this one, then the first thing you generally want to do is you want to take pictures. Those pictures will help with the reassembly of the reel. This is kind of an interesting one. Still trying to figure out how the parts are going to come off. This doesn't have a traditional side place where you remove. Okay, note that there's a long screw that came out of that plastic part there. Now we have one from below. Seems like a very nicely made reel. This one appears to be a different color as well. So this is shorter and has a different color to it. It looks like a stainless screw. And we'll take this one. And with any luck, when we take one more out, this case is going to come off. If not, well, we're going to have to go scrounge up a schematic to see what else might be in the way. Okay, the 4 screws that I was able to identify are basically out, and we'll see what happens here now. One more screw. I knew it. I knew it. There had to be one up top there somewhere. All right, let's try it with this screw. Yep, that's the last one. There's a screw hiding inside here. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know how I can rotate that camera to show, but there's right in here, there's a screw. Today they do a I think that their design is all about hiding screws, and it was probably just more, it was convenient. And you'll notice I put these all on the table because I wanted to make sure that all of these screws were the same size. So the only one that's a different size and a different color is the one that belongs underneath here on the plastic part. All right, well, this looks like this comes off now. We have that flipper mechanism behind it. This one's stuck as it normally gets stuck. There's a little plate that holds us on here that we will be able to release. There's always a little button, it seems, on these. And then we should be able to just remove this whole side plate now by pushing through, which we can do. There's a couple of tension washers on the outside of this. You want to pay attention to those. There's one more hiding here on top of that instant anti-reverse. Go ahead and grab that and get that off to the side. Here's your internal, and boy, that internal looks just like the 3600. There's a, I believe it's the 3600. There's a smaller framed Abu that does that. Let's see if we can get this spool out this side. I don't think so. I think we have to remove this ring, and I'm just checking to see how. Oh, you just lift it up. That's easy enough. So you lift it up, you took a picture because you wanted to make sure that you identified where the spring goes. And I'm going to put that spring right in the basket so we don't lose that. There's just some light grease on this, so dirty grease, and we'll just make sure we clean all of that off on both sides. I'm using a paper towel. I like to use the least abrasive of the things I use for cleaning. And of course, if you need something that is abrasive, then we'll go ahead and go get that. But for the most part, you don't need that. Well, this is interesting now. I'm not seeing how the spool comes out. Okay, when in doubt, play around. This looks like it's a lever like the Shimano's have. Pull it up, give it a twist, and see what there we go. There's your answer. That's your magnetic braking system. And now you can remove your spool from the case, and we can do a better cleaning of that whole case. There is a little bit of tracking of old greases in there, so I'm going to use a penetrating oil first. I hope that that will loosen it up, which it did. I'll go ahead and use the paper towel. Go ahead and clean all of that out inside there, make it a nice clean reel again. And again, there's a lot of moving parts in this one, so you do want to pay attention here as you go ahead and do this. It looks like there's another screw here that's holding the plastic part on. So let's go ahead and see if we can't take that out. And that's going to give us access to the worm drive. Well, there's a lot of things going on my table here. I'm just trying to help to remember to keep track of it all. I'm going to lay those big parts right out here. Normally I would put those right into my parts tray, but in this case, we're just going to leave them off to the side. We have a spring down here which is controlling that case. I wanted to get that off to clean the worm gear. We'll put a little bit of oil on it, and we'll put a little bit of oil into that pawl mechanism. That's held in place by a little plastic piece. And put some oil back on that. That'll also allow us to do that last little bit of house cleaning in there. Okay, before I forget how that goes, we're going to go ahead and put that back on. And you'll notice that there's a groove in here in this plate, right on that carrier. And that's going to ride on the top part of that thumb bar. I said thumb bar, carrier bar. All right, well that long screw didn't have any effect other than that the worm gear. So I'm gonna, before we forget where it is, I'm going to go ahead and put that long screw back on. Tighten this down. And then we're going to take that small screw and make sure that we hold it on from the other side. The more pieces you can get out of your parts tray or off your desk sooner rather than later, the better you're going to be for it. Well, that kind of leads me to kind of a standard thing here. If you have any questions on this reel or any reel in particular, if you want to learn some more about a particular reel, or if you have some questions about what's going on with the reel, if you leave those in the comment section, I do try to answer those. Okay. Just going to clean off this mag disc. This seems like it's a self-contained unit, so I'm just going to kind of leave it as it is. I want to grab the axle shaft now that we remove the other piece. We're going to oil the spool. There's a bearing on that side. There's probably a bearing on this side, so let's float that. I'm going to install the spool shaft. A little bit of dirt still remains on that inner track of the spool. I did hear a little bit of noise when this thing was cranking away, so it may just be that there was some dirt in those rims. Go ahead and put the spool back in. Just checking to make sure I have the spool on the right side. I was looking for where the brakes go. Okay, when you go to reinstall the button, you'll notice that there's a little pressure pin right here. You need to find the indentation, there you go, right there, on that side plate piece so that you can fit this in. And then just kind of turn it until it clicks in place, close the trap door. That's your spool assembly is on. Now we can go ahead and grab the thumb bar. The thumb bar just was resting, just like that. And we had the spring to the thumb bar, went underneath. Then it attached to that little triangular piece right there, that little stud on the side case wall. So that's your operational thumb bar at the moment. And of course we got the rest of this we still got to do now. So we're going to take the assembly, set that off to the side. We'll come over to the main event over here. We'll make sure that this all gets cleaned. So this is held on by a post. That's your yoke spring mechanism. And we have our yoke and our pinion gear. I guess that could be a bearing. It's not a bearing, but it could be a bearing. And then we just have our trip mechanism there, which is kind of standard issue for these Abus. Just going to clean up what little grease there is on there. Let's remove that pinion gear and clean that up. I'm going to use fishing reel grease on this now. I use Penn Precision reel grease. Abu is now a division of the Pure Fishing, which owns Penn in addition to several other brands. That's not why I use the Penn Precision reel grease. I just like it, and it comes in big tubs. All right, taking care of that. Go ahead and put that in. Now there's a slotted side of that pinion gear that goes to the face of the reel. You're also going to notice that there's two slants on the back of the yoke mechanism that goes inside as well. You can go ahead and take this and put that back on once it's cleaned. You're going to find the two posts that it sits on. Actually, it's just one post here. One post, and it goes over the two case screws like that. And just make sure it's flush to the bottom of the case. I'm going to take a look at what we have here in the gear stack. Push that out, pull it out. Make sure that it's clean. This one has a little bit of dry grease underneath it. Make sure you don't lose that little copper washer that goes on the base of it. Put a little bit of grease onto the shaft, and then we can put that back in. That's your trip mechanism. When your trip mechanism comes down, you're going to have this little tab rest inside the trip piece here at one of these angles, and then as you turn it, it's going to kick it back up with the use of that spring. All right, we're just going to take a quick look at the washer set. These are generally hard washers. Yeah, they're hard washers, and no need to do anything with hard washers. They don't absorb, so you don't need to put greases on them. Just make sure that they're not chipped or cracked. This one has oil on it, that's fine. Go ahead and reset that. Check your teeth of the gear while you're at it. And you can put some grease on it once you notice that they're all kind of uniform. They're not chipped or cracked or worn or in any way. Now you got two sets of gears on here. You might be noticing there's an indented section of gears. This is a quick test. Where's that inner gear going to go? Well, it's going to go drive the worm gear. Well, interestingly enough, what that means is when you go to cast this reel, the main gear will not be moving, nor will the worm gear. So when you go to cast this reel, make sure that you have the line guide centered for the most efficient casting. If it's not centered, if it's off to the side, the line's got to travel more, but if you move that right into the center before you cast, that'll be the least distance side to side, and you'll throw the connection further. Okay, we got to go figure out how to set this up now. They're underneath here. There is a race, and we've got to center that so that that stud goes around it. And I do believe that this piece here is going to mesh into this corner here. Generally speaking, you want to push that trip mechanism down when you go to load, because that'll give you the clearance you need for the stud. Let's see how we do. Fortunately, you can eyeball most of this. Okay, it took a little while, and what I actually did was I pulled off the stem so that I could see. I wasn't able to see this little notch where this thing became lodged, and it just gave me a little bit better view of it. And then of course we can take this and put that back on. Now you should snap in here, and you should also see that the back end of this now is meshing this gear with the drive on the main gear. And if we turn that main gear, we should have this one moving, and we should have the spool moving. That's all good. Alrighty, not much left. There's not much left. Stephen, thank you for sending this in. This one's been fun. Alright, we're going to take our case now. We're going to load that over. There's a little shield. We'll make sure that we put that back in. Now we can load that. This has an instant anti-reverse clutch. So you always try to date these reels a little bit. And those instant anti-reverses started coming prominent in the late 1990s. So that's kind of an idea of where we are with that. I'm going to take those two of the 4 screws. They're going to go in here. We noticed that they were all the same when we started with this. So I'm going to finish them with any spot where it makes sense will be appropriate. All right, one down here. So if you like these kinds of videos, again, please subscribe. And if you like this one in particular, please indicate that. The likes always help build channel recognition. I think a lot of folks kind of are hesitant to watch a new channel. And they certainly want to see if it's worth their time and energy, and they check out the other videos that have already been posted on the site, and they make sure that that there's positive communications and that the videos are liked and so on. All right, I just used some grease on this one, to get that inner case screw. As I mentioned, it's kind of an oddball positioning for that screw, and you just kind of have to keep your eyes open when you go to work on this. Next up then, let's go put this on. This is the one that has the piece for the axle shaft. It's the best time to do this right now before you start putting your star adjuster into place. There we go. I heard that snap. That's a good thing. These are concave. They're bent. I nest them. I put the, well, I oppose them. I don't nest them. Put the kind of the curved side up on the one and down on the other. And that has to do with the sensitivity of the star adjuster. So let's go ahead and put that star adjuster on then. You're having a little issue with trying to hold that stem down. As soon as you clear the button in place there. When you clear, let's try this again. We're not quite clearing. Now, use the handle as a wrench. It's an oddball design. It's hard to find a flat spot to hold the thing. Okay, just finishing up. Now remember, you've got that little tension washer that goes between the handle and the star adjuster here. Then the handle can come on. This is a good time to put that C-clip back on. The C-clip holds the gear shaft and the main gear sleeve in place. Most of the time you can do that like I did with hand strength. And we have a 10mm nut. Be careful as you put this on. You don't want to cross strip this nut. It needs to go on square. If it doesn't go on square, you risk damaging the threads. Let's go ahead and tighten that down. And generally speaking, if you're perpendicular to the hole, line up pretty good, then this nut cap is going to fit, and you're going to be able to put that hold down screw in place. Well, there's not much left to do. We want to put a drop of oil into the handles, and then we want to test the reel, see how we did. Okay. There you go. It's a beautiful, fun little reel. Let's make sure that we have the free spool. We do. Notice that you're not moving. So as I said before, if you're going to cast, line it up so that it is in the middle. That way it's less line travel side to side. All right, we'll do that again. Push down. Spool turns nice and easily. Now let's go ahead and re-engage. Use the flipper feature. Turn this, make sure it locks down. It does. So that's it. That is your Abu Ambassadeur Tournament reel. Wow, what a little treasure that Stephen has here. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, again, please like it. Well, to everybody who's keeping us safe, thank you very much. We do appreciate that for all the work that's being done by first responders and essential personnel. To everyone, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.